Hello again, friends. Welcome back to the Carnivore Hippie channel. Not in Chef Patty's kitchen today. We've been talking a couple of times over the last couple of weeks about positive and negative moods. I've struggled with a mood disorder since I was a teenager, and never did find a medication that really worked for me. And actually, now that I know what I know, I'm kind of praising God that I never did find a medication that worked, because everybody that I know that's on those kinds of medications is now struggling mightily to get off of them because of side effects and withdrawal and all kinds of horrible stuff. So I'm, as difficult as it was for decades, literally, I'm just so grateful that I never had that problem on top of everything else. I was upset about it for many years, that I just couldn't tolerate the medications. The side effects of the medicines were worse than the mood disorder. But looking back on it now, I'm really, really grateful that I got through it without getting hooked on those kind of medications. But anyway, before I go any further, I want to show you, do you like my little steak earrings? I love them so much. My niece made them for me. Oh, get out of the way, hair. My niece made them for me on her glow forge. They're just so adorable. I can't stand it. Anyway, I want to talk to you a little further about strategies you can use to regain your positivity. And the first time we talked about being okay with not being okay. That's really important. And the next time we talked about practicing gratitude. And that's really important too. And today what I want to talk to you is about avoiding catastrophic thinking and catastrophic language. And what I mean by that is, for example, let's say you're struggling already with your mood and you just have an ordinary, run-of-the-mill, crappy day for whatever reason. Things go wrong. Things are more difficult than they should be. You get bad news, any number of things. You know, you have car trouble, you have a fight with your boss or your spouse, your kids are not cooperative, whatever. A million things can happen. And say you're just not feeling real well on top of it. And that kind of day can just really tank you. And it's so difficult sometimes to just get through the day, that eventually that one little thing, and it can be something ridiculous, just gets you and you snap and you get angry and you just get so frustrated, you lose it, you lose your shit. And you start just talking to yourself or talking to anybody that'll hear you. I don't even know why I try. Every time I think I'm making some progress, some shit just comes along and slaps me down. I will never make any headway. I might as well just give up hoping. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, anybody who's struggled with mood has been there. And what I want to say to you, friends, is it feels super normal to give into that when you're in that state. And it may even feel somewhat cathartic, and it may even be a relief for you to spit that all out there. And it may be for a minute. It may just make you feel a little better to just express all that energy. But I'm here to tell you from experience, that catastrophic language and catastrophic thinking is kind of like the ice cream. It feels really good in the moment, and it might even make you feel better in the short term. But if you lapse into that catastrophic language and catastrophic thinking every time you get overwhelmed, all that does is drive that negative mood deeper into into your consciousness, into your mode of thinking. It becomes habitual, and your brain, your primitive brain, can't really tell the difference between that catastrophic language and the actuality of hopelessness. Okay? What you're doing is you're telling your primitive brain, just keep on looking for negative shit because it's never going to go away. You will never be safe. You will never feel good. It's all over. You may as well give up. Your brain will actually take that under advisement, which is kind of scary. But you have to remember, as human beings, we're all hardwired to see what's wrong in our environment and in our interactions with the environment. That's a self-defense. That's a survival mechanism, because the vast majority of human beings, for the vast majority of time that human beings have existed, we have lived in a primitive environment that was inherently dangerous. Okay? We had to be on the lookout for whatever was wrong, whatever was out of line, whatever was scary or dangerous or depressing or frightening, because it might save our life. We have lived as a human race in a largely safe and sanitary environment for a very short period of time, evolutionarily speaking, or adaptationally speaking. So your brain is still hardwired to see what's wrong and hardwired to basically ignore what's okay. We don't need to pay attention to that. That's fine. That's not dangerous. We need to pay attention to that over there that's different, that's weird. That's dangerous. Okay? But we don't live like that anymore. We're safe physically, generally. But our primitive brains don't understand that. So, when we have mood difficulties, it behooves us to not allow ourselves to lapse into that catastrophic language, catastrophic way of thinking. I'll never get better. No matter what happens, something's going to get me. Any number of ways that you can put it. And your brain believes it. Your primitive brain believes it. It's predisposed to believe it. So if you want to use behavior to help yourself recover and get out of that negative space, you're going to have to take positive action. Okay? And the way you do that is when you notice yourself having lapsed into that catastrophic language, catastrophic way of thinking, of negativity, you can stop yourself and say, no, this is not good for me. This is not good for me. I would caution you against saying, I shouldn't do that, I can't do that, because that's also negative. That's a subtle way of putting pressure on yourself. But you don't have to do it that way. You can back off and say, this isn't good for me. This does not serve me in my goal to feel better, to go forward, to improve my life and my health in any way that I can. What will serve me? What will serve me is to stop and think. There's nothing wrong with observing and recognizing that It's been a very, very frustrating, very challenging and difficult day. There's nothing wrong with that. But we don't want to fall into, no matter what I do, life is just shit. We don't want to fall into that. So what we're going to do is we're going to reframe. We're going to refocus. We're going to say, today has been extraordinarily challenging, but here I am. I've made it through this far. I'm still upright. Hopefully. Maybe you're not upright, but you're conscious. Okay? There's something that you will be able to identify that is strong in you at the end of that really crappy, shitty day. Doesn't matter what happened. There's something that you'll be able to identify as strength in yourself. I had a terrible fight with my boss, but you know what? I made it through the end of my work day because I'm strong and I'm resilient. And I feel terrible right now, but you know what? I won't feel terrible this way forever. I will feel better. I will feel better. And as a matter of fact, you can even tell yourself, I'm starting to feel better already. And you know what? Sometimes just saying that, I'm starting to feel better already, is enough. Sometimes it's not. Let's get real. Sometimes those positive affirmations feel in themselves kind of frustrating and fake. But you can find something. You can find something that makes you feel strong and resilient. And that's all you need is the one thing. That's all you need is the one thing. So next time, friends, when you're just losing your shit and you lapse into that catastrophic, oh my God, nothing will ever be okay, stop and think. This is not good for me. This is not profitable for me. This is not what I want for myself. What do I want for myself? I want to remind myself that I'm strong. And despite my frustration and despite how not well I feel at the moment, I am strong. I've made it through this. Everything that you've experienced up to now, you have survived. You're still breathing. And if you've had a mood dysfunction, or if you've been physically ill, or you've suffered abuse or anything like that, it's hard to be grateful for those kinds of things. And we'll talk about that later. But what you can tell yourself is, I made it. However I've suffered, however I've struggled, I'm here. Today, I'm breathing. And everything I've been through, I've survived. And not only that, but I was also capable of deciding to turn my life in a more positive direction. And that is awesome. Now, my friends, please go out. Practice being okay with yourself, no matter how you feel in the moment. Practice gratitude and practice reframing. My life wasn't shit today. My day was very challenging and I made it. The last year was the most horrible year in the whole universe. No. Last year was extraordinarily taxing, but I made it because I'm strong. And I'll continue to make it because I'm going to get through this and I'm going to have a positive outlook. I am having a positive outlook now, even though I don't feel good. I know it sounds woo-woo. It sounds frustrating frustrating, and it's difficult when you're angry. I won't kid you. It's difficult, but you know what? It's worth it. Be okay with not being okay. Practice gratitude. And let's give up the catastrophic thinking. And I think you will be surprised at how far that can go to helping you adapt to the behavior changes that you're trying to make with low carb or carnivore diet. Because I'll tell you what, the carnivore diet, the low carb, high fat diet did wonders for me with my mood, but it wasn't the whole deal. It made it possible for me to implement some of this thought work, some of this concentration work, made it possible for me to implement it and actually make progress. So you can do it too, precious friends. With that, let me just say goodbye. I love you all. Peace, love, and meat. And we will talk again real soon. Bye-bye.